Welcome back to Talkin' Baseball. We got special guest Taylor Hearn joining us on the show today. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Talkin' Baseball. My name is JOMBOY. I got Trev with me. We got Jake here. Producer BBD's with us. And we have another interview coming your way. We just wrapped up with Texas Ranger Taylor Hearn. He made his debut last year, got hurt. Crazy story. Got drafted a bunch, got traded a bunch. We covered it all. Jake, Trev, how do you think it went? Trev, you like talking to these young guys, huh?
I do. I think that's kind of what we need to say about old Taylor is he's a freak. And you know I love the freaks, especially on the mound, 6'5", lefty, bringing the cheese. And we approached a couple of different topics about that. We talked about bullpen. We talked about letting it eat for one inning. What could he do with that? But as always, pitchers love the starting role. And I think he wants to stay there. But I wouldn't be surprised, you guys. I would not be surprised if we had a Josh Hader, Amir Garrett, Andrew Miller, tall lefty that could just come in and shut people down. I think that's kind of what the Rangers have in Taylor.
Everyone listening, you'll hear this, but Trev asked him at one point if he could get to 100, and he was kind of like, "I have, dude."
Yeah, like hunch, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Get
Jake,
to a
what
hunch.
do you got, Jake?
Taylor's awesome. Good baseball stuff, good life stuff, and Ploof. I feel like I big time bizzed you a little bit, but like, you got a starting pitcher. Don't tell him about the bullpen, bro. He knows it's out there. But I think the bigger thing, and I mentioned it, so I don't want this to be tooting my own horn, but there's a position in baseball that's forming that's just a weapon. It's give me 2 or 3 out of the pen and, like, let's win this game. And, I mean, guys like Hader are already doing this. And, dude, if this guy's numbers are what they are and he's hitting on the gun and he can control it a little bit, I think it's the future of baseball. Whenever I'll spin this to Yankees, as we always do, but whenever Jabba Chamberlain gets mentioned in Yankee land, me and Jimmy say how he was 10 years too early because they would have said, oh, okay, you don't need to close, you don't need to start. Let's get you in the 2 to 3 most important innings of this game and just mow people down. And, the league's obviously heading there in different ways. But, yeah, man, with the expanded roster and with guys not being stretched out, if we get this baseball season, I think Taylor Hearn's going to be twirling the pill and get a real opportunity, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah. All right, let's throw it right to the interview, and then we'll wrap up a little bit. Here he is.
We are joined by Texas Rangers pitcher Taylor Hearn. Taylor, how you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. Just taking it day by day in this pandemic and with the virus and just waiting for the season to start, hopefully.
Yeah, man. We're gonna be fast friends. We're gonna talk some baseball. We're gonna talk some life. So let's do it, man. Let's do it, man. Where are you coming from right now?
I'm in downtown Dallas. I live down here now, so I kind of got out. I got out of Roy City just to move closer to the stadium. But yeah, so I'm closer to food. I can just walk and go to stuff now, so it's a little bit easier.
Amen. I actually lived in Dallas for a couple years, and I missed the food really bad. The Tex-Mex, tacos y mas was my style. I'll get off of that for now. I'll let the other guys talk.
I want to let you know that we talked before the show a little bit, said hi, but one thing I left out is I'm pretty good buddies with your spring training roommate, Scott Heineman. So I got to ask a few questions about you before we got on here. And Scotty's not shy. Scotty shares everything, I'm sure you know.
Oh, no. Yeah, Scott's not scared to say whatever's on his mind and share it, that's for sure.
Yeah, we had Lance Lynn on, and I asked, I said, man, Scotty Heim. He said, oh, he's always walking on his tippy toes. He's got his shoulders back, loving, he shows off his muscles. I encourage anyone that just listens to the pod to go and Google Scott Heineman, kind of see what we're talking about, and you'll see right away this guy is he's like a cartoon character.
He walks with briefcases under his arm every day. So.
But he told us some stuff about you.
Okay.
One, he said big gamer. So
very true.
He told me you're an NHL guy. He said you claim to be the best in the clubhouse. Is that something that you're going to back up here in the spotlight? It's going to be recorded. Do you back that statement up?
I 100% back it up. 100%.
Okay.
NHL for sure. FIFA.
Ooh, FIFA.
And MLB The Show, that's a different story. There's some guys in there that played it way more than me, but yeah, NHL, FIFA, and I would say Madden. I've been getting back at it, but Madden for sure though. But FIFA and NHL are the big ones.
Do you have a team in NHL
that I play with? See, so I've gotten kind of used to playing with other teams. So I play with. I used to play with, like, San Jose, and then sometimes I play with Vegas. Who else? St. Louis has a Blues. They got a pretty good team defensively too. But it used to be the Stars. But when I play Jose Trevino all the time, and I play like a bunch of my buddies that live here, they want to play with the Stars. So I kind of got used to playing with different teams. So.
Jim, those used to be your games back when you played, man. I mean, those are the best those are the best video games to play against another human. Yeah. NHL and FIFA, because the game speed is good, it keeps going, and like kind of anyone can play. Like if you play someone who's good in Madden and you're not, like that's a bad time real quick. But I feel like you can get a good shell game out of a lot of people.
For sure.
Sounds like Taylor's kicking ass, though, so I'm not playing. I'm out.
You're out.
I've retired from the video. We used to crush FIFA in college, but I only like playing – we would play 2v2 just all day.
Yeah, that was a mess.
That's a mess. That's sloppy. So you're living in Dallas. I mean, are you amidst the chaos right now? Is it, on your front door?
Yeah. So I was actually coming home. Yeah, we went to my girlfriend's friend's party, and we're on our way home. We're driving up Main Street, and we're about to pull into my apartment. And we literally, like, as we're pulling in, we see them, like, they looted this vape shop down here. They, like, broke all the glass and everything, and then they go up the street, and I saw them hit a coffee shop. They hit one of the sneaker stores down here. Politics, that's a really good spot as well. But yeah, it's been all around. But like these last couple of days, they've done. They started doing the curfew, and it's been like a ghost town in here. So they cut off at 7. I go out to my balcony, and you can look down Elm and Main Street and just downtown. And it's like you can hear a pin drop. Like it's like that quiet.
Man, it's nuts. And like that's how it was with Corona and all that. And now it's so weird, the whole thing. Like we went from no people to so many people, and now they're mandating no people when they were mandating no people originally. It's crazy, man. But I mean, I know that Trev played with some minor league teams. I think you guys may have played on the same. And Trev has told us like there's some towns in these minor league facilities that kind of live up to the issues that are being highlighted and broadcast across everywhere, every social media, every TV network. I mean, what was your experience like going to some of these smaller towns or just in baseball in general?
It wasn't really much of a shock to me, but like I was kind of used to, at time when I was younger, I played at fields that weren't the best, and but going to these minor league parks that are just not the best either, like it can be a shock as well because I don't know if Trevor played. Trevor, did you ever play in the Florida State League?
I did. That's a horrible league.
Okay, so he would 100% back me up on that. So when you go play Dayton and the Cincinnati Reds high A team, they like your hotel's right on the beach. Like, it lets you think you're about to just go to this nice park, then you pull up and, the dugout's not that big and the dugout's so small that after I got done throwing, I had to go do my arm care and I'm coming out to go get in the dugout and I got to sit outside and there's like fans right behind me. I mean, it's, and then also I was in Hagerstown, Maryland when I was with the Pirates. Or National, excuse me, at the time, and then West Virginia with the Pirates also. That was, those towns weren't the best as well. And then Bradenton wasn't bad either. But, a lot of the places you go play at, like, they're really, like, they're not that good. But you see why, like, baseball, why there's so many people that go to the game, because it's all they have in that town. That's what they thrive in and, like, depend on.
Yeah, the Florida State League is, it's probably the best league for facilities. Daytona Beach is not one of the best facilities, but it is a fun hotel. I remember having some good times there. But at least you have the facilities. I've told a lot of people this. We didn't play at great high school fields in my league that I played in, but when I got to pro ball, the fields were a step back, 100%. And it's a shock to me. Like, I didn't matter that much to me, like I said, because I was a high school kid and fields were okay. But for guys coming from LSU or, some of these big time schools where they put a lot of money into these fields and these programs, you're absolutely taking not one, but probably two steps back in like the amenities side of things and the quality of the field. I think it's an eye-opening experience for a lot of people. The first year they get into pro, like, what, this is interesting.
Yeah, especially, low A and short season and high A for sure. But every coach I've ever had, I'm sure that as well, they always say the higher you go up, the better the fields get. I would say that's a little iffy.
What part of we talked before about, just for the audience to know, what part of like your, I don't even know what to call this, like your second off season, like, are you in? Like, where are you at throwing wise? What are you built up for right now? Because we talk about this all the time on the show. Like, baseball is going to be here soon, or it's not going to be here, but you got to be ready for it. Are you stretched out completely?
Yeah. So like, I've been doing up downs, like 2 innings, and built up to at least 40, 50 pitches. And honestly, whenever all that stuff happened, we came back down. I didn't stop throwing. So I was just ready, I'm going to keep, continue to keep throwing. But like, I'm at a good spot right now, got all the spring training arm crankiness out the way. So
you suffered 2 injuries last season. Like, you were out with elbow and then came back and then, or on the path back, fractured something again. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it was just crazy. But so before, like, it had bothered me a little bit before my debut, but when I got, on the debut as well, but it was a grade 1 UCL sprain. So I went down to Arizona, rehabbed that, and then for 6 weeks, and then I'm throwing my last live BP, about to hop in the games that next week, go throw in 3 games, and then get shipped off to Nashville. So I'm almost done. I start feeling some like stuff in my arm, and I'm like, man, it feels like somebody's like just flicking a nerve, like that nerve that runs on your elbow. Like, feel like somebody was just hitting it every time I threw. And come to find out, it was a stress fracture that was under there. So then they had to shut me down for another 6 weeks. So needless to say, I was out in Arizona for the whole season last year, and it wasn't fun.
No, that's not fun, man. Rehab will steal your soul.
Oh,
you got to go in there and be as mentally tough as you can be. And people might say, what are you talking about? Like, just go rehab. But it's just, you want to be playing. You're a baseball player. And the feeling of like helplessness you have when you're on the DL rehabbing something it's a tough thing to go through. Whether people want to believe me or not, I'm saying it. I'm sure, Taylor, you probably think the same thing. It's not a fun thing to go through. And then, yeah, you're spending your time in Arizona or Florida in these spring training sites, and it's hot. So anytime you go out, it's just a bad thing to be going through.
And the worst thing is like, I've rehabbed in in both Arizona and Florida, and they weren't good. But hey, when you that first month and a half, not everybody can have a Scott Heineman to rehab with, so he made it a lot easier.
Yeah, you're right. He brings the energy. If he brings anything at all, it's energy every single day. Him and I have had some dust-ups in the weight room. You can ask him about this. I actually quit. I took a week off in the one off season. And I was like, I need a mental break from you, Scott. Him and I were butting heads every single day because we both, we're in this little gym and we're just getting after it. And you get competitive and then you say something. He was popping off saying stupid things and I popped right back to him. And finally I was like, dude, I need a break from this. And we're like really good buddies. So I don't want anyone to think that he's like an asshole or something. He's not. He's great. But that energy, man, him and I, we butted heads. It was fun. It was a good time. Now that I look back at it, I laugh. I
don't see how anybody could hate that guy. Scott is just awesome.
I could tell you. No, I'm just kidding.
Scott, me and Scott went during spring training. We went to the mall one day, right? And there was a Mike Trout shirt, and this guy. He looked at it. He looked at it. He goes, what you can call me now? And I'm like, what? He goes, Mike Trout Mini. I was like, why? I was like, you're not Mike Trout. He goes, yeah, I am, because I'm be better than Mike Trout. I was like, oh, excuse me, big guy. My bad.
That's him.
Change his Wikipedia. Give him the nickname.
But also, if he stood next to Mike Trout, he seriously, I don't know what he would do. Mike Trout would probably need a restraining order after it.
He probably. Oh man.
Taylor, I want to ask you a little bit because, man, I'm going through some of the numbers and, dude, some of the strikeouts and innings numbers, I mean, they're where you got to be. And I want a little bit, and I want to make this into two different conversations, but, what's your pitch mix? What are you bringing? And then I kind of want to relate that to the Rangers staff a little bit this year because, we mentioned to you before, we talked to Lance Lynn, and we're like, man, there's some dudes in the Rangers organization right now. We left Kluber off, and Lance Lynn was like, I hype Kluber up every day. That guy's got Cy Youngs. So I also want to relate that to being a lefty a little bit because Mike Minor, yes, he's a lefty, and I was going to say maybe that's someone you lean on, but he also pitches differently. He uses that high changeup, and it's awesome to watch, but also other pitchers might not be able to use that. So I want a little bit on your mix and how you've been able to kind of work with different guys within the organization.
So my mix, I got rid of my 2-seam fastball, but I throw a 4-seam slider and changeup.
Right here? Okay. 4-seamer right here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's why I'm not playing.
Lots of those. Golly. And Trevor. But 4-seam changeup slider. I actually tightened up my slider this off season. I got it. So whenever I was throwing a slider, it'd be 80, 83, 84, 85. And changeup be 88, 89. And I got to the point where I tightened it up, and I watched a lot of video of Jacob deGrom for a long time, and I got to ask a bunch of people that were around him and what was him and Syndergaard doing, the reason why they were throwing these sliders at 92, 93 miles an hour. And come to find out, they were throwing a cutter. They just would manipulate just a little bit. So I was always man, if I could just, because I'm always trying to figure out what can I do to take each pitch just that much better, that every year. So this offseason, I did a lot of research and trying to work with different grips. And, Jeffrey Springs, who was with us, he's with the Red Sox now, but he said that Mike Minor showed him his grip that Verlander showed him about type of slider he throws and stuff like that. And he's like, man, I'm trying it out. And so he was throwing it, and it was a tight spin and stuff. And I was like, you know what, let me try it. So I tried it out for about 4 or 5 pitches, and I swear my stuff was it was just hard, late, and everything, and it was coming out. So kept up with it, came to spring training first game, and they pulled me off to the side, and they were like, our video guys were like, hey, what pitches are you throwing? You started throwing a cutter now? I'm like, no, slider. They're like, yeah, we got up to 91 on the first game. So I was like, well, that's exactly what I wanted, So, but just the arsenal, like you said, it's hard to, I can sit there and talk to guys about different approaches, about how they approach, certain hitters, just because if I try to talk to Mike, he can give me great advice, and Lance as well. But I've come to realize even in minor league baseball as well, but just coming through the ranks, like everybody approaches every pitcher different, and I'm sure Trevor can testify to it. Like his approach ain't gonna be the same. Like if he would face, righty Jacob deGrom than what he would face me the next time. Cause they would he'd be looking for like different stuff. So I honestly just been learning just by myself over the last couple of years about how guys are approaching me and what they're looking for and everything, asking hitters and stuff like that. So I would say a lot of stuff I just learned on my own as well, and then working with my trainer who's here. And but yeah, just learning on my own, because I can sit there like when I was with the Pirates, Mitch Keller would throw and then I would throw after him. And so I'd sit there and write the scouting report, and it got to the point where after like 2 games and we faced like the Phillies and then over and over again, I'm like, I had to tell our pitching coach, I'm like, hey, I can't do this. Like, I'm writing reports on how they were pitching him, but I said, man, they're hitting me. They're like, approach is way different than mine, and they were like, so I think that's just one thing I've learned, just trying to learn about myself as well. Because, I'm a different guy, hard throwing lefty and, different stuff than Lance Lynn and other guys.
Yeah.
When you say,
go ahead, Jim.
I just want to know the nitty gritty of like the cutter and slider. Like, how different is the actual grip? Is it finger placement, pressure points? Like if you were to show me one grip and then the other, would I be like, oh, those are two completely things? Or would you have to actually tell me like, no, you see this is pressure here? Is it big change that those two different grips?
Honestly, no. It's just with me, it's just I don't even think really that much about finger pressure. It's just more so just the grip, Okay. So I was like thinking if I could just get something to where I don't have to think about throwing it and like manipulating, just throwing like a fastball, and then that was it. And I got to the point I got more comfortable with it. I would add a little bit at the end of where I'd snap my wrist just a little bit, just get extra bite and stuff on it. So like to me, it's just a grip.
What I wanted to ask you, I mean, you're a nightmare, bro. 6'5", lefty that throws hard. Like that's, you don't want to face that, right? So I'm thinking about other guys that are comparable to you. Josh Hader, Amir Garrett. These guys are tall lefties that throw hard. And both of them, and yourself included, starters in the minor leagues. Now, obviously, Hader's closing games out. Amir's been in the bullpen for a couple of years now. I talked to Scott. He said that you want a job in the bullpen in Texas. Is that something – because I know a lot of pitchers have strong feelings about this. Are you like, I'm a starter, but I'll help in the bullpen? Or are you like, hey, man, like maybe this bullpen thing is going to be my ticket to a long big league career? Do you have a lean one way or do you just say I'm there for whatever?
So I can do both, but I think – just something I've always enjoyed, and I think just me just value and just believing in myself is like I can start because I grew up watching Dontrelle Willis, Randy, seeing Randy Johnson, watching David Price, and seeing just a bunch of lefties come through, and I'm like, man, like growing up and then starting to realize my stuff, I'm like, man, I got the similar stuff that they got, so I can do it. But I think the situation that we're in right now, I mean, you got a Cy Young guys in the rotation, can't beat those guys as well. So I'm always open to experience in the bullpen just to get in the big leagues as well. So I'm always open to that.
So now my follow-up question to that is starter, you probably need a 3-pitch mix. You don't have to, but I think that serves you well as a starter going through the lineup a couple different times. A bullpen guy, you could be a 2-pitch guy. Do you alter your pitch mix knowing that, hey, I'm going to be in the bullpen to start the year? Are you like gung-ho on 2 pitches, or are you still going to mix in that 3rd pitch as well?
No, I think I have to mix in that 3rd pitch. I just think like with them wanting me to be like, before all the stuff happened, they wanted me to be a long guy out of the pen to go 3 or 4 innings. So I was like, I'm not going to sit there and try to limit it and be like, just cut it down to 2 pitches because like, I got faith in all 3 of my pitches. So, yeah. But no, I think even in like 1 inning, I got to have 3 pitches because I don't want hitters to try to eliminate 1 pitch and then think that's all I got.
That's what they would do. That's good. That's a good mindset.
Yeah.
And I know players kind of can't let their headspace go this direction, but also and in any baseball team in any year that a 3-inning bullpen guy is becoming more and more valuable, by the year. But this year, and I don't know if you've let your mind wander there, but dude, if you can come in and throw 3 innings twice a week, that's going to be one of the most important roles on a lot of baseball teams this year. I mean, there's, especially to start the season, and if guys aren't going to build up, I mean, that's going to be a massive role that we're going to see around baseball. And you're currently in that, and, an injury away, which happens to literally every baseball team. You're in the rotation. So have you thought, about that role? Do you let yourself get there? Is it just get built up and get my stuff to the best it can be?
Honestly, it's a mixture of both. I like it. I like going the distance. And even if that's coming out of the pen, anything I can do to try to help the team, that was something they came up to me and asked me about in spring training. They're like, hey, we believe in you as a starter. We want you as a starter, but just right now, how do you feel about coming out of the pen, for 2 or 3 innings, being long relief? I'm like, I can do that. Just give me enough time in spring training to get used to it and find a routine, because it's not starting. That worked for me. And I said, I'll be good to go,
Do you ever just sit back and dream about just mowing guys down for 1 inning? I just think of guys, and I'm like, okay, a guy like you probably, what do you sit, 94 probably?
Yeah.
94, 95?
Yeah, 94, 95.
Just 1 inning, okay, let me just ask you this. Hypothetically, I'm sorry, my mind is wandering now. Hypothetically, you're like, dude, I'm going to buy into this bullpen thing. I want to be a closer. I'm going to be a Aroldis Chapman. David Price did that his first year. He came up and was a reliever. I remember saying, that guy should be in the bullpen for good. Clearly, I was wrong about that one.
He figured it out.
He's had a pretty good career as a starter. Yeah. But if you were to just hypothetically just let it eat for 1 inning, what are you sitting at? Do you have that extra gear in there? Are you hitting hunch? Are you getting there?
Oh, I could for sure.
You're getting it going right now.
Yeah, I did 4 years ago.
As a starter?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But the thing is I haven't every year since then it's been oh my god, bad lighting.
You're all good.
Every year since then it's been just 98, 99. So it's I got to get back to 100.
So 100% you could get there. That makes
sure.
Man. I have a thing for lockdown relievers. So
it's in, but you know what? It's in the tank for sure. But as I've gotten older as well, I've learned how to add and subtract on fastballs and just different, mainly the fastball as well. So instead of me coming in trying to sit 95, 98, the whole game, I started taping it back to where I'll sit, maybe 92 and reach back for 95 if I need to, and then later on in the game, then that's when I'll really bring it out.
That's a skill.
That's the Verlander special right there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't know if it's really the Verlander special, because he would start out 90, 91 first inning, and then by the 8th inning he's 99 to 100. I don't know if I can do that.
I don't understand how he did it. And I faced him a ton in my career, and he'd be like, oh, Verlander, he doesn't really have his A stuff today. And then you're sitting in the 6th inning, and he's all of a sudden blowing 97. He's a freak, man. He's a freak.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's in there though, because one game I do remember to this day. We were playing Tampa Bay's high A team, and I'm in the 6th inning, and I strike out the last 2 guys, and I remember hearing my third baseman came up to me in the dugout, and he goes, the third base coach is shocked. And I was like, why? He said his first words to me is after the first bat, he goes, he's still throwing 98 and we're in the 6th inning. I was like, he was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I was just like, bro, that's what I'm ready for it,
We were going through your baseball reference in Wikipedia, and something that we were kind of surprised by or interested in is that you were drafted 4 different times. You turned down 3. So how did that go? Who was your who were you getting advice, or was it you, or who was saying nah, wait it out, you'll get drafted? Because for the people listening, it was 22nd round, no, 36th round, no, 25th round, no, and then you get the 5th round, the 4th time. So clearly you're getting some good advice. It worked out. How did that whole ordeal break down?
So what I think what a lot of people don't know is, so that first year, my senior year of high school, and I got drafted by the Pirates in the 22nd round, I didn't even play my senior year. I got hurt. I didn't play.
Really?
So I had strained my UCL in high school, and so the Rangers doctor at the time, he was like, "Hey, you can't do anything yet, but towards the back half of the season, I was playing first base and outfield, but he's like, you can hit. He's like, you can't get on the mound yet. So I need pitch. I did one workout for the Pirates, one workout, and then they drafted me off of that because they called me and they wanted to see me. So then I go to San Jacinto Junior College in Houston, and I go down there and pitch 4 innings and get hurt again. And then, I was asleep on my couch in my parents' room and got a call from the Reds in 36th round. And then just going through all that, also, I just felt like, I was ready for it, but wasn't like mature enough yet. And I think just like I haven't even shown people what I could do to, get paid just a little bit. So then, I had surgery, I had a stress fracture, so they put a screw in my elbow. So then I missed the rest of my freshman year, and then I had a medical red shirt issues as well. So then I got declared a sophomore, didn't know it. So then I get drafted by the Twins in the 25th round, and didn't pitch. I pitched like 8 innings that year, and then go to Oklahoma Baptist, and get drafted in the 5th round. But one thing my agent at the time was like, you need to go somewhere that's different, new set of eyes on you, and just new scout, so you can build up your stock. But he's like, these scouts have seen you since you were in high school. He's like, so you need some new eyes to see you. So that's when I went to Oklahoma Baptist, NAIA school at the time, and the velocity was creeping up as well. And then the conference championship game, I got up to 99, and that was just, and my mom was happy too, because she was just asking me after the game. She was like, how do you feel? I said, I'm upset that we didn't win, but I said everything I went through and just was patient through the process, and just basically investing and believing in myself. It's going to pay off. And then sure enough, get taken in the 5th round by the Nationals. So I was like, the wait was worth it.
Yeah, there you go. Worked out perfectly. And then you also got drafted 4 times, traded for twice. The Pirates, was it the same scout and crew that wanted you back out of high school that then traded for you? Because that's kind of cool if they were like, we still want you.
They did. They were still talking when I got traded over there. I remember my first bullpen. It was in Winston-Salem. And I'm throwing a bullpen in front of a bunch of their, GMs and everybody. And they were like, man, why'd you want to sign with us in high school? And I told them straight up, I was like, you guys weren't going to pay me.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I was like, y'all weren't going to pay me. So I was like, why would I sit there and try to take a lesson? Why not just bet on myself and go to school? But it was a pretty cool thing to come full circle with that organization, because, talking to a bunch of those guys over there, they're like, man, we've been watching you since high school, you've been progressing and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
I mean, yeah. If I'm an organization and we're doing a regular draft, we're doing 5 rounds this year, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Regular drafts, 40 rounds. The first 10 rounds, I'm going to go best player available, just, whatever. After that, the rest of my picks are going to be 6'5" and above pitchers.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. Like, I don't know why more teams don't do that. Like, obviously they saw something in you, like you were projectable. That's what they're going to call you. Until finally.
How many 6'5" pitchers do you think are just in high school?
I don't know.
I'm guessing they all get drafted.
I would search for all of them. And
the thing is, though, like there's 6'5" pitchers, but how many of them are lefty? Those are real questions.
Exactly. It's even more to my point. It's like like the whole this 25th, 24th, 23rd round. Get out of here with that. Like you have something you can't teach, bro. Like you can't teach 6'5". Yes, you kind of teach lefty. But the velo's there. I don't know, man. Like, it seems like a weird thing that was the case for you, and then all of a sudden, the Nationals snatched you up in the 5th round. Like, what?
Yeah.
But then good for you for betting on yourself, man.
It was but it was just a matter. I mean, it was. And Trevor, as well, like going through the whole draft process, like those teams will those teams were like, when you're honest with them and you asking them, like, I'm asking teams like, hey, where do you see me? Oh, we got you 15th to 20th, you know, stuff like that. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah,
like,
see ya.
whatever, you know what I mean? So it got to the point to where I got tired of it, and I just was like, look, I'm gonna continue investing in myself. And it got to the point to where I pitched 70, 80 innings and did well, and it shows velocity. And I'm like, it's out there. I'm like, now just, you know, now try to take me at a spot that I like. So, you know, but yeah, that whole draft process stuff is the most frustrating stuff ever, man.
And then, well, you get to the Pirates, and in 2018, you're in Double-A, and your numbers are silly. Like, you have a 14 before they traded you had a 14-game stretch, like a 120 batting average against, 2-something ERA. Were you kind of shocked that they then turned and traded you because you're part of that Triple-A team and crushing it? Were you excited about the trade, or is it just another step in the journey?
Oh my geez, it was that was a lot of mixed emotions because a lot of those guys I had started, you know, been playing with since low A, and I honestly, I wouldn't say I saw it coming, but like the writing was on the wall because there was talks of it in the locker room because, you know, there was talk that the Rangers were interested, you know, in a couple of guys with the Pirates, but I was like, man, I've been traded once. I was like, there's no way I'm about to get traded again, you know. And then, you know, pulling up to the ballpark, our video guys are like, hey, I get to the ballpark and video guys are like, hey, the Rangers guy, you know, they get the list of like what scouts are here, and it's like the Rangers brought like a high executive here, and I'm just like, oh, I wonder who they've seen. They're like, no, they're here to see you. I'm like, no, that's probably not. So I go down to the bullpen, go warm up, and I see this guy like following me to the bullpen. I'm like, oh, okay, so it might be me. So, but no, it was pretty crazy, you know. It was something that I kind of, you know, was always open to. But I honestly, I had talked to a bunch of guys like in different sports that played for the hometown team. And so many of them told me just about like how stressful it is, how like you got family members always want to reach out at you and everything, you know. And I remember that year I had a conversation with my dad, and I told him, my dad was like, how would you feel if, you know, you got traded for the Rangers, you know, next couple of years? And I said, I don't know. I said, I would love it. But I said, I wouldn't want to come here till like the end of my career. And then my attitude and stuff started to change. And I was like, you know what, I'd be open to it. And then sure enough, now I'm here, you know, and it's been a great experience. So it's been, it was a mixed emotion because a lot of guys with the Pirates I was cool with and love them. And I think what a lot of people don't know is, you know, before I got traded, I was actually about to get called up to AAA. So,
well, yeah, I mean, you had to go somewhere. You were just dominating everyone you faced for like.
Well, yeah,
months.
dude. I wouldn't say that, but then, I mean, when I got traded, that was the first thing I asked them. I was like, "Where you guys sending me?" They're like, "Oh, send you Frisco."
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, they didn't get the memo. Like, oh, that's all right.
I mean, but the next season you start at AAA, and then you make your debut, which probably isn't the most fantastic memory, since it was crazy. I just watched it, and I have one question for you. I won't make you relive it. Just one question. How did you keep your composure when Forsythe drops that ball? I would have screamed so loud. So you don't have to answer this if you want, but that was my own thing. Like,
no, it's okay. Did
he stay calm right there?
It's okay. I wouldn't say I was calm, but I was already hard on myself because I knew I was injured and like I was trying my best to get out of it. And when he dropped that ball, you know, I'm sure all you guys know, and Trevor knows as well, like baseball's a crazy game in the world. When one thing happens, it's like a domino effect. So sure enough, next pitch, he puts one in the 6 hole and it's just like start running. I'm just like, well, you know, that's part of baseball. So, but I wasn't really too upset. I don't even, because like I'm thinking to myself, if he catches that ball, would they have left me out there for another batter? Because I was already at like I think 30 or some pitches, so I was like, they probably would have took me out. But no, I was already hard on myself because I wasn't even worried about that.
So you knew that when you're making your debut that, you know, something's up with your arm?
I had felt well, I had like technically, because I was supposed to pitch the day before in Iowa, And so I didn't throw at all. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll feel fine. So I go out and warm up, and everything's feeling good. And I get in the bullpen. I'm like, dang, something's like that's not, okay. Feel like something's tweaking, but I'm like, maybe it's just nerves, and I go out and warm up, and I spike the first warm up pitch. I'm like, oh, crap, I think I'll be good. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, let's just get out of the first inning, and let's try to tell them like, hey, we need to get out of here. So, but no, I was feeling good up until that. I did. I mean, people thought I was nervous, and I think some of the best advice I got was from Jesse Chavez that year in spring training. Jesse was yeah, love him. And he's like, the biggest problem is people, when they get called up to the big leagues, they get like shocked about it. He's like, don't be shocked from that call. He's like, be expecting it. So I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't trying to put a timetable on me trying to get called up to the big leagues. I'm like, look, I'm gonna just continue taking it day by day in the minor leagues, so that when I do get called up, I'll be ready for it physically, mentally, and everything. So like, people thought I was nervous, but I really wasn't nervous. It felt like a normal game to me, honestly. It did. Like, it felt so normal because I was already knowing those guys in spring training. I had worked out with them before and just played against them, in the minor leagues and stuff. So like, it felt like a normal game to me.
You seem some weird baseball going on in that half inning too.
Yeah,
there was some weird shit. Like, you show someone that, and it's like, damn. There was like a cross up. There's a beautiful slider or curve you dropped in there for strike one. Umps decided it wasn't a strike. Leads to a 3-1 count. I was like, this is brutal. Just a domino effect.
He did have a tight zone, so I think that was his little initiation for me to the big leagues. So
who was it?
Okay, well.
Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know, but I know for a fact. Like, oh yeah, we can. Go ahead, please look it up.
Jimmy, BBD or Jim?
I got it.
Yeah, Jimmy's so fast.
Yeah,
He's
but
oddly good at this.
Yeah, but he had a tight zone because I know for a fact, he had missed, a couple pitches with me, but I know Delano at the time, he had argued with a couple of our players. You know how those umpires are in the big leagues, like, it's their show. So.
Trip Gibson.
Trip, younger guy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Trip.
I'm gonna make sure when the season starts back up, I'm gonna make sure to go introduce myself to him.
Hey, be as nice as you can to these guys. It's only gonna serve you well.
I know, and it's so hard, man.
You seem like you get it. Like, I don't see you as a guy that's gonna let that like compound or anything like that. Like, you were injured, had some weird things go on, and I always tell the story. 4 guys making their debut, if it doesn't go as they want, I planned, doesn't go as planned. Stephen Vogt, my guy. I love Stephen Vogt. He started his career 0 for 32.
Yeah.
He got traded in the middle of that. Ended up, so his streak was with Tampa. It carried over in 2013 to Oakland. So this guy's 0 for 32, feeling like it's never going to happen for him. Obviously, we know what he's done with his career. He's had a great career. But even that year, 2013, he ended up starting all 3 games of the playoffs for them in the ALDS, and even had a walk-off hit in game 2. So these times they don't last.
No, they don't.
I think you already know that, but that's just a little story.
But it's like I said, like I've been telling people this as well. I'm like, if I had it my way to where like they gave me a certain way, they're like, hey, you can go on your debut and strike and go 7 strong, but not make the Hall of Fame, or not get out of the first inning and make the Hall of Fame. So it's like, oh, I'll take that one where that bad outing, because I had a bunch of those in my career, so that's part of baseball.
Yes.
Yeah, and Taylor, a couple quick things. If that slider cutter starts with a 9, don't worry. Don't worry. The numbers will be there. And by the way, Trevor Plouffe, when he starts getting excited about bullpen stuff, screw that, man. Get the pill to start the game. Do that for like 6-7 years, and then get that bag for like $200 million. We'll do that, and then we'll worry about bullpen.
Yeah. Hey, let me say though, there's bags to be had in the bullpen now. That was not the case. That was not the case 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. Guys are getting broke off now.
Yeah.
So, dude, I just get excited when I think about your potential and what's cool about you is you could do a bunch of different things with the ball. Yeah. So like teams especially value that a ton. So like
And
whatever happens, I'm a fan.
A minute ago, you said the first time you saw David Price, you want him to stay in the bowl.
I did.
So
I did. Do you remember what he did for them in the playoffs?
Your GM dude, yeah,
it was awesome.
He ended up doing Vandy. Go Doors. I didn't actually go there. Taylor, I want to move us on to something because the show's talking baseball, but we like to get silly and we like to get serious. I think this is going to be a silly part for a little bit, or maybe I'm totally off. But this is a note I haven't seen about a player, and Kelsey who hooked this up. It says that your grandfather, your father, and your uncles, 3 uncles, are all former rodeo cowboys, and that you used to compete. I mean, can you bring us into that world a little bit? Because I grew up in Connecticut, man. I'm soft as hell. I got nothing. So what's that world like?
So my dad and one of my uncles, Wendell, they still rope, and another one, Eldon, he said he's gonna get back into it as well. But yeah, so that was honestly, dude, that was the first sport I ever did. Like that was like before I picked up a baseball, basketball, football, it was a rope in my hand. So,
damn.
And then, they put me on a horse when I was 4 years old, and then it was like just game over after that. But yeah, so my grandpa, he was on the JFK Honor Guard. He was like the first African American in that, and first African American to be a professional, and just he did a bunch of stuff basically, and him and just going on road with my uncles and my dad as well, and then me competing as well. Like it helped carve me into a baseball player and just more of a patient person as well, because like I tell people, it's like baseball and rodeo are like the same thing, as people may not believe, but like an event I do, like tie-down roping, where you're on a horse trying to run, your horse trying to run as fast as you can, trying to rope their calf and then run down and tie them, right? Like it's like similar to me throwing a baseball. It's like when I throw the baseball, I have no idea where it's gonna go and what's gonna happen. So it's the same thing with like tie-down roping. So I think just from learning from them about, going practicing, staying out practicing, roping calves from like early in the morning till late at night was something that shifted over in baseball to where like I had to have that same drive for a sport that's so like attention to detail. So, I've been as high as like Wyoming and North and South Dakota, and so it's been a crazy journey, but like that's something like I already said I'm like into. That's something I'm gonna get back into. And then another thing is, I just bought 3 bucking bulls, 2-3 weeks ago, and we won on two of them placed, and we won $10,000 total.
I don't know what is that? What did you do? You bought what?
So like the bulls you see like the PBR, like rodeos that the guys get on for like bull riding, right? So I bought me and Cody Allen went half and bought 3 of them. And so you buy them as like yearlings and stuff. You take them like these fraternities, what they're called, and you take them like tournaments basically. And they put a machine on their back. It's like a training machine because they're young and they're babies. So and then the biggest ones win the most money. And but yeah, like these are some big tournaments and stuff. Like they go for crazy amount of money.
Love it.
So, how come Madison Bumgarner isn't like your idol? We got lefty pitcher. He's also out there winning $20,000 as Mason Saunders in rodeos.
Wait, this is interesting. Are you just like better than Madison, but you just never really talked about it? Like, are you the number 1 roper in the big leagues right now?
No, because he does a different event than I do. Like he does team roping and I do calf roping. So it's a whole different event, but I'm sure his roping, he won $20,000, so his roping skills are pretty up there. Mine a little rusty because I haven't done it in a while, but it's something that will never leave me, and it's something that, that I can pick up and do. So maybe I'm sure he tie down rope as well. So I'll have to see if he does that. Maybe we can set something up.
I have 2 questions that are probably going to sound stupid in retrospect, but I got to ask them.
Okay.
1, do you rope lefty? Like, is that a thing?
Righty.
Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So my next question is obsolete then, because I was going to say, do you think it helped you develop arm strength when you were younger? But since you were doing it righty.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but
right.
I think it was.
Dumb question,
Sorry.
Nah,
My mind
I
was
think-
spin. I'm like, dude, should we get some roping classes going on for guys? But clearly not.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it's good wrist rotation work and good shoulder work. So maybe it's something that we can try to incorporate into the throwing program, with driveline.
Hey, it's gotta help your grip, right? Finger pressure, like that hand strength. I'm just saying, a lot of people do things early in their lives that over and over and over. Okay, I'm going to give a story now. I'm just going off on tangents now. Whatever. Stay with me here. My dad, your family was ropers. My family were pool men. And my dad still is a pool man. He's been doing it for 40 years, maybe longer, 50 years. Anyways, going through the pools, he's dragging a net through the pools, has a pole in his hand going. 40 years over time, his forearms are massive. His hands are so strong. I've never seen him lose an arm wrestling match. And whenever anyone brings out one of those grip machines, he is like, they've never seen anyone grip as strong as him. And it's because of that. So like built up over time, he just has these massive man muscles in those certain areas. I got to feel like roping's probably benefited you a little bit.
I think so. I think it probably has. And, I kind of want to wonder if I was a right-handed thrower, however, my shoulder and stuff, like would I ever have arm injuries because of that,
Interesting.
But, I'm interested to see how big your dad's forearms are. I'm going to check that out because I'm sure he would. His grip strength would probably be crazy.
He's a big boy. I'm like the runt of the family, so he's it's cool though. Like I think about that, like and I feel like a lot of professional athletes probably have, I'm not a lot, but there's some that have done things their whole life that they probably didn't even realize that they were doing that helped them in their athletic career. Whether it's something with their eyesight, what kind of work they did, guys in Latin America, they grow up hitting sunflower seeds with skinny bats, and bottle caps. That stuff right there helps you become a good hitter because what does the ball look like after you're hitting bottle caps?
Yeah.
Like who just was doing that? I just saw somebody doing that online. Was it Miguel Cabrera doing that with his son? Like
hitting bottle caps?
Oh, Poppy. It was Poppy.
It's really big in the DR, right?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. You're just playing as a kid having fun. That develops your skills immensely.
This kid was hitting some cage bombs. I saw that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy.
Jake, did you do something that helped your athletic abilities when you were growing up?
Clearly no. I had another moment earlier in this. Well, I'll run through all the Jake jokes I missed. I also didn't play my senior year, but I did not get drafted. Coach's decision.
Nor did you get injured.
And the other thing that I was just thinking about, man, it's like you said, Dontrell Willis and Randy Johnson. Two guys with just filth, just like disgusting stuff. Do you ever have a moment like, I don't know, maybe your head's hitting the pillow at night and you're like, I do that shit. Like I pump that. Like that's I will not know that feeling. So that's why I ask.
It's a fair question.
Oh, jeez.
Just say yes.
I do. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're not gonna lie, I do, but there's a big part of me that's always like, how hard can we really get you to throw? But I'm not like trying to bash or anything, but I'm like, I kind of like where I'm at right now. It's like, it's a good spot. It's like, it's enough where I can add and subtract on it. But, oh yeah. Especially like after a day where I have like 10 or 12 strikeouts, and I go home that night and I'm like, I like sitting in my bed. I'm like, dang, I'm just like gassed those dudes up at 97, 98.
That's nice.
That's nice. I think about that all the time though, because it's one thing I love seeing, and I know Trevor hates it, but anytime I get a guy to swing and miss, and like the biggest thing I love is when I hear hitters swing and you hear them make like a noise like oof or something like that. And I'm just like, he's trying to take me a yard. I'm like, let me gas him up a little bit more or something, Or like you foul a ball off, they make that noise. You're like, oh, okay, all right.
Honestly, it's like a guy like you. You're saying you're throwing your four seam a lot. I think about at bats where a guy will throw it under my letters, right above my belt, and you just foul it straight back. And you're like, okay. But then all you guys have to do is throw it 3 inches higher. Our eyes light up like this, and we swing and miss. And that's been my experience with those pitches. And it is. I'm sure you're like get a lot of joy out of that, and I'm on the opposite spectrum of that. I'm like, wow, I knew that pitch was coming. I knew I couldn't hit it. But like Kit Henson in a league of their own, can't hit him, can't lay off him.
Name drop.
How about that one right there? Was that pretty good or what?
Wow.
That was quick.
Well,
like
Dottie Henson
Kit
said
Henson
it, but Kit Henson couldn't hit the high heater.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy.
It's a good one.
I gotta watch that movie tonight.
I love that movie, man.
I did.
There's a show coming out all about the league soon, I think. Or
Really?
Yeah, the comedian, the woman from Broad City, Allie something.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote like a book about it and did like real research, and I think they yesed like a show all about the female baseball league.
Oh,
It had an awful name. Do you remember the name, Jake?
No, I got nothing.
What are you watching right now? We've been through quarantine. We've been home. What's the content you're taking in right now? What are the recommendations for the fan base here?
Boy. Jeez, what have I been watching? I don't know if you guys have you guys seen Lucifer?
I've seen
I
it.
haven't.
But
I've always been meaning to start it.
You have
Didn't
to
they?
watch that. Watch
Yeah,
it.
all right, I'll
They're
check
coming
it
out with more seasons, but Lucifer was one show that I got hooked on. I didn't really think much of it, but one of my buddies from Cali told me about it. And I promise you, I mean, I'm coming home from workouts, I'm watching 3 or 4 episodes a day, like trying to crush because it's that addicting.
Okay.
But Lucifer, I've seen it multiple times. I'm like their biggest fan, but Family Guy, I'll sit there and I've watched all 17, 18 seasons, every episode. And every time I get done watching them, I start back over again. And when they come out with a new episode, I jump to it.
Damn.
So like I can sit there and quote Family Guy with people all day. So.
Okay.
The league was called the AAGPBL, so it is an awful name. The All American Girls Professional Baseball League.
Okay. Wow. That's a pretty
It's a lot.
But they're coming out with a show. I'm excited for the show, and League of Their Own's great.
What is the show supposed to be coming on?
I don't know. We got like a press
CW
something about it. Let me see.
What was
I'll tell you
Lucifer
one.
Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay. I'll check it out. I'm looking for stuff.
It was FX.
Yeah, but Netflix bought it though.
Okay.
I'll tell you one movie you guys are probably gonna be disappointed in that I haven't seen all the way is Bull Durham.
I'm not a Bull Durham fan either.
Trev doesn't like it.
I haven't really got into it like that. I didn't really think it was okay.
Yeah, because you played in the minor leagues and you're like, this is kind of stupid.
Yeah. I'm like, but like
At the time, they say it was the best representation. It saved minor league baseball too, which is cool. No one was going to games, but then they made that movie and they saw like the crazy clown and the carnival atmosphere of minor league baseball, and people started going and supporting again.
And now look at minor league baseball. Way to go, Jim. Bad segue.
I didn't make the movie.
Tough.
Bull Durham's one. I'm trying to think. What's some other ones I haven't seen? I mean, the ones I have seen, like Sandlot, both of those, A League of Their Own, 42, Mr. 3000.
I like Mr. 3000. I gotta watch
That's
that
a great
again. That's a
movie.
funny one.
That's a great movie.
God.
Mr. 3000. Try to think what else. There's a good amount of like baseball movies I've seen and haven't seen, but man, Mr. 3000 is a really good one.
That's a hilarious movie.
Oh yeah,
Amazon.
How can you?
It's going to be called A League of Their Own, and it's on Amazon.
Okay.
Boom.
Really?
TV show. Yeah. So
Wow.
hopefully it's good.
Let's hope so. I hope it is. I like that stuff though.
Yeah.
Good.
The league is crazy. Nuts.
I mean, Taylor, I could go through Dallas food with you all day. I'm in my head. I'm back in West Village. Dallas was a weird time in my life. I was single and young and kind of on my own. I had a lot of fun in Dallas. But again, I think we save that for another time. I don't know, man. We normally wrap up with if there's anything you want to hype up, your own Instagram account. But I don't know, man. A lot of people want to talk about a lot of different things right now. So I mean, the floor is yours, man.
Oh, I'm always open to having any type of conversation like people want to have. So, I guess it would be kind of sad, or not sad, but it'd be kind of messed up if I didn't, try to say something about what's going on right now in the world, and it's a tough time for sure. But I think just as like an African American guy that's experienced racism myself, it's a tough thing to even, I guess, not try to comprehend, but also just try to explain to people, if that makes sense. Like, and I get it. Like, a lot of people, a lot of white people aren't going to understand it. And like, it's not I'm not trying to sit there and say like, I need how do I put it? I guess I know you guys wouldn't understand, but like, like I was trying to tell somebody yesterday, I'm like, but people don't want to have those type of conversations. Like, it's hard to even have that type of conversation with anybody, because it's like, everybody wants to talk, but nobody wants to listen, and it's like, I think that's one thing we need to do is start being more vulnerable with each other and just, being open and just be more understanding, because, Trevor knows as well, like, in baseball, you meet and you play with a whole bunch of different ethnicities, and I love that because that's what helps bring us together. And there's a lot of things I've learned, like learning Spanish and just learning how, guys in Colombia or just different countries that, don't have like what we have, and like they go through pretty much sometimes the same stuff, but just different, and so I think just with me being an African American guy as well, and just playing in a, predominantly white sport, that's like, there's not that many black people that play. It's tough, it's pretty hard because, there's a lot of stuff that we can and can't say. We kind of got to be a little careful about it because we're walking a fine line, where it's different if we were playing basketball or football, because there's more of us, but there's only like 6% of us that are in the major league, and it's tough. So I think the biggest thing we can do, and something I'm doing as well, is just trying to get back into the community and try to just continue to bring people together, and also just trying to just try to have people just understand it, not trying to push. I hate when people try to push stuff off to the side and think, this is just like a phase. Like, no, it's something that's been going on in the world for a long time. So I'd say just the biggest thing is just, I hope people are starting to wake up and starting to see it now, and stop trying to put it under the rug, and just realize it, and just, just be open to it, and just try to, treat African American, just black people in general, just, fair as well, because I don't know how, I've talked to a bunch of black players as well. Like, we talk all the time, like, it's hard for us, because I go to Walmart and go to stores, I've numerous times, especially in Arizona. When I first went out in Arizona, I went to Walmart and Surprise, and I had 3 times where I go in Walmart and coming out, I've seen ladies and just people like lock their doors. I'm walking by and I'm like, I'm not going to do nothing to you. Like, I'm just walking in my truck, so it's tough. It's hard, but it's something that I think will continue to bring us together as a country as well. But I'm happy and thankful you guys are open to it and just love talking about it as well, because most people like to shy away from conversations like this.
Yeah, last episode we kind of opened with that, like, we're not going to shy away from it. And I think the biggest thing, and it's almost becoming a cliche, but it's good, is like, I understand that I don't understand, but I know it's real and it exists. Right. And it's crazy. And especially, baseball is a different sport where, it's predominantly white fan base, and the percentage of black players has been dropping. As soon as really the NFL took off in the 80s and the NBA took off, and we have a show that we're planning on doing all about this. A guy that works for us, Keith, because we like research all these scholarly articles trying to figure out like what happened, because you watch any game from the late 70s or 80s, there's a lot of black players and they're like dominating the sport. Yeah. And it's awesome. And it kind of coincides with the rise of college football and the NBA stardom and just a faster path to stardom and like, you know, minor leagues. But it's crazy. It's especially baseball's history and being the sport that it is, and it's crazy. So I'm sure your journey's been harder than the average, you know, minor league pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, it has been because, I mean, growing up, since I started playing baseball, I was the only black kid on every team I've ever played on, you know, and then when I get to college, there's maybe one or two guys and, you know, still stuff there, you know, most of the towns that we went to or just played in, you know, there's a lot of racism there. So it's a tough thing as well, but also, you know, it helps me personally think about like all the stuff Jackie went through. Like none of this stuff that like I'm going through, I went through was anywhere near as bad as what he went through, you know, but it's the same stuff, just not as severe, I think. But it's definitely a tough thing, and like it's hard because that's something I've been doing since I got into professional baseball. I was trying to continue to, I put on a bunch of camps and just, you know, go give lessons to all types of people. But, you know, I drive to go see people and mainly trying to continue to push at, you know, black people to play baseball. But it's so hard because they see that it takes such a long time to get money in baseball. They're like, they need it in basketball and football, which is a lot quicker. But the biggest thing I think that like that's frustrating is like they don't want to invest and put time into it. They want it like quicker and easy. And I'm just like, it's not like that, you know. And I said, it took me a you know 4 years to get to the majors, but I said it's worth it though, you know. And but the one thing that's hurting it is also all these perfect game tournaments and stuff for like stupid amount of money, costing parents thousands of dollars.
It's $1 billion industry now.
Yeah, and that's what's running off a lot of the like black people. So I've been working and trying to figure out ways to like put on tournaments and like showcases for, you know, black kids to like, not just in Dallas, but just in all inner cities in the world, just to showcase their talent, you know, because there's a lot of talent out there. I mean, a bunch of like kids I work with that played baseball, I mean, they pick up on stuff like really quick and they're crazy athletic, you know, and it's sad because I'm like, man, like, your chances of making it in the NFL and NBA get slimmer and slimmer as you get through college. Like it's only like a 3% chance you're gonna make it to the NFL because it's only a 53-man roster, and it's like 2% to make it in the NBA because you know 12 guys on the roster. So I'm like, your chances of making it in baseball are a lot higher, you know. And you know, there's starting to be more of us coming, but you know, it's a slow but steady process.
And there's some things that are getting put in place, which is better. I know University of Michigan, like they're like predominantly scouting in urban places now and not from these showcases and all that. And then Pitching Ninja, Rob, his flat ground app is really helping kids get noticed that can't afford these showcases because they just they priced everyone out, which is so crazy because you just need a ball and a stick to play it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like you need a whole football field and all these pads and stuff. Like it should not be an expensive sport to play.
No, it shouldn't be, but it's hard to when you have, cause I mean, I was just talking about it with somebody earlier, but I was like, man, it's so hard and different than whenever I was in high school. There was only, you know, in the Dallas Metroplex, there was like 20, 30, you know, good, legit summer league teams. Now it's like there's 50 of them, and it's like everybody's like, well, you pay $2,000 up front, that's going to get you in like 2 tournaments. It's like, you know, it's changed so much, you know. And I got to the point to where I started telling a bunch of high school parents and stuff that are asking me like, hey, what can I do to get my kid noticed so we can get out there? And I tell them, I'm like, if you want to go to these showcases, that's fine, but if you go to these college like camps at a young age, like that's where most of them are getting them guys. Cause like most of the time when I like at OBU and stuff, like I would ask them where, like, you know, where do you get this guy from and stuff? Oh, he's been coming to our camp since he was like 13. So I know him. So that's you building a relationship, and it's what, $80, $70 for a camp.
Okay.
I'm like, that's way much better than going to perfect game and running a 60, playing 2 games and expecting, you know, getting a grade scale and like working off of that. It's like, no, it's like, why not just take it slow and just go to a different college, go to University of Texas, all these type of schools just to get your name out there. It's a lot.
You kind of answered my question, but I've long said that I think baseball can be the most inclusive sport just because it's a skill sport. You don't have to be boring to play it. I mean, dude, if you're not 6'4", the NBA is probably not a possibility for you. You know,
No,
like
because
some guys
getting taller.
can. You got to be tall. In the NFL, you got to be big and fast. And those are things that guys are mostly born with. But baseball, you can learn how to do something. And you watch the game, and there's little guys, there's big guys. There's black guys, there's white guys, there's Latin guys, there's Asian guys. So it being that inclusive, like what can MLB do, or what can people do to increase the amount of black players in the game? Because like Jimmy said, I mean, in the 70s and 80s, like things were going perfect for that. And then all of a sudden now we're looking at it, and like you said, there's like 6%. That doesn't make any sense to me. So like what do you think baseball can do to get more African Americans to play the game?
I think the Urban Youth Academy thing is okay. I think it's a good deal. I think it's awesome. But I think in order to really, really get the results that everybody's looking for, like what they keep preaching on, is to really get out there, but just having guys like me and just other major league guys going into these communities and like talking to these parents and these kids at a young age and just trying to tell them. But also, I think also just if you build like nice baseball facilities in those, you know, in those communities, like they're gonna come to it, you know. And that's where that's something I want to do, is like be able to put nice baseball facilities in these inner cities to let them know, because you know nice things are always attract people. So it's like if I put a nice baseball facility and put out on the thing like, hey, come out for baseball trials and stuff, a lot of kids are gonna be like, oh yeah, if I'm gonna play here, like I'll try out all day, you know. Yeah. And then but also just educate the parents on it all the way up into it, you know.
My thought is, let's stop selling the dream of millions of dollars in pro sports, because it happens. We see it happen. It's highlighted, but we all know the numbers on that. They're just very slim that's going to be you. But there's a ton of college scholarships out there for grabs, and that's like when I was coming up, that's all I ever cared about. Was like, dude, I want to go to college, and I want to pay. I don't want to pay for college. Like that was my goal. The rest of this stuff happened, but like I think parents. And no one specifically, just parents in general, that should be the goal. If you think your kid has some talent, don't think about big leagues. Don't think about the NFL or the NBA. Let's think about getting a free education, and then we'll see where it goes. Like that's where the focus should be, instead of, hey, I'm not going to play this sport because the payday is further down the road. Like, no, forget about the payday, dude. Don't worry about that. Let's get free education so you're not straddled with, you know, student loans or whatever. You know, like that's the way that people should start approaching it.
I think so. I 100% agree with you. And that's something I've been trying to tell parents and kids as well. Like everybody sees Garrett Cole getting these, you know, $300 million deals, Mike Trout, $400 million. And it's like, you know, like, did you ever really think and realize like how much stuff and just all they went through just to get to that point? It's not like they came out in the NBA or NFL and got 21 guaranteed and then, you know, played for 3 years and got another fat contract. It's like, no, it's like, you know, it takes time to get that paper, you know. But it's I just think it's also the definition of just how the world is nowadays. You know, everybody wants to get like the get rich quick scheme, you know, but it's like nobody wants taking the time to be patient. So it's a tough thing. It's a battle like we're trying to deal with as well, but you know, it's a steady process.
All right. Well, tag your Twitter, and we'll do it for you too. But if you want to shout it out, Twitter, Instagram, go follow.
Yeah. What is my Instagram? I think my Instagram is like Hearn21, and then Twitter's Hearn14. But yeah.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you coming on, and stay on the mound, stay starting. Don't listen to Trev. Win 20 games.
Yeah, man.
You get in the Black Aces community. I know CC said that's like his favorite accomplishment is being in the Black Aces, better than Cy Young and all that shit.
I got that too, man. I want to get in that so bad.
I agree. That's awesome. I want you to do that too, but I want you to be in the first and foremost. I want you to be in the big leagues, dude. That's
right.
Let's get to the show, you'll pitch your way into whatever role you pitch your way into. So
let us know when you're buying your next Bucking Bowl, and we'll just go in with you. Okay?
Yes, I would do that.
You know,
let's do it.
I got you guys. So the funny thing is, like the cattle company that they're under is actually owned by he played in the Bow Mills, and the cattle company is called Red Laces from the Laces of baseball. So
Okay.
pretty cool thing.
Well,
I think we're super into that. So
tell them you just gave them an ad and to hook it up. Tell them.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, hook that up. Thanks, man. And yeah, dude, if you need to push any baseball community stuff through us, reach out. We are down and we are.
Let's get kids playing baseball.
Yeah,
shit,
we need
man.
some.
Yeah.
We need some. Well, I appreciate it, fellas. I appreciate you guys having me, though.
all right, dude.
All right, man. We'll see you out there. All right, there you go. Touched on a lot of topics there. Minor leaguers being drafted a bunch. It's funny that he kept getting drafted without ever pitching. He was like, well, wait till you see me pitch. You might take me higher. And then finally, I thought it was actually a very interesting nugget that his agent was like, hey, you need to go to a different scout zone.
Yeah.
Because all these people have seen you before. That's an aspect of trying to get drafted that I never thought about.
I mean, come on, scouts. I mean, how do you not know or see this guy everywhere? Like, just to me, that seems crazy. And I talked a little bit about like my draft strategy. Since I am commissioner of all baseball, I do have a draft strategy in place just in case I need it.
It would be embarrassing if you didn't.
First 10 rounds, best athlete available. After that, I'm just going for massive potential upside arms, 6'5" or above. I thought I was being progressive with that. Then I started to think about something. You guys are going to like this. That's what the Yankees do. At least that's what they used to do. When you come up through the minor leagues, every Yankees staff has some big MFer on the mound. 6'5" or above. They love to do that. I saw the entire minor leagues. And I don't know how many guys kind of worked out for them. In my mind, I don't think a lot. Phil Hughes, sure. Big guy.
Dellin Betances. Yeah. So it's not a foreign concept, but man, that's what I would be doing, especially with all this new technology and new ways to teach guys how to use their body. The kinetic chain is getting activated. I bet on potential all day long now.
Okay. That's just your one strategy. I like it. And, we did touch on the issues at large right now at the end there, which is a good conversation. And, man, when you look at the numbers of black athletes in baseball, it is crazy. Like, Jake and I did the watching baseballs, and they were a lot of stars, not just everyday players, stars, black stars in baseball. The Yankees at one point, is all, and then it got cut in half, the percentage. Keith and I did a lot of research on it because we want to do a show on it. What happened, and it really coincides with Magic and Jordan, and then football becomes huge, and like Taylor said, it's that instant money which these young kids want and need, instead of the earn your stripes and slow shit of the baseball system.
It'd be changing now with the minor leagues shortening up, going to 3 teams or 3 leagues or whatever the heck they're doing. So
yeah, it might get a little better. It's one step. So.
And Jim,
All right.
what was the not fun fact from that research with Keith? Wasn't it who was the last black third baseman?
Name a black third baseman.
It's very tough. Josh Harrison.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. Before that, it's very tough.
It's a weird position. It's not, a hot corner position. Like, you can name Charlie Hayes and you can name guys, but last all-star is Terry Pendleton.
It's a long time ago.
That's a long time ago.
It's very interesting. Yeah, we found this scholarly article that broke down by position and decade. And, at first, it was a lot of pitchers. It was just a lot of pitchers. And I don't want to say, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was interesting to see the breakdown and the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows. And we got all these scholarly articles and read about. Hopefully we do something with it in the future once we get back to the office and can kind of map out shit. It's cool. Are you in deep thought, Jake?
No, just fed the dog, and it's like before his feeding time, and we're just wrapping up, and I don't know.
Okay.
It was surprising.
All right. Well, I think this is Friday's show, so have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday with another guest lined up that we're recording tomorrow. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.